how to replace these old frayed strings with new ones. That's what we're gonna do in this video, and it is brought to you by Lancaster Archery Supply. This is technically a Lancaster Archery unboxing, and wouldn't you know it, you can get strings for your bows ordered from Lancaster Archery, shipped to your door, and you can install them yourself. If that's your jam, if you want to do that, you can. So let's see what they sent me here. Okay, boom, there we go. Zebra bow strings. They are Matthews strings, but you can order them from Lancaster. Super quick custom strings from Lancaster Archery. So they send them all separately because there's different strings, believe it or not, for the bow. So we got 5 different ones. Wow. They all come separate, boom, just like that. Okay, so on a Matthews, on this Phase 4, we have technically 3 categories of strings or pairs of strings here. We have the actual string, quote unquote, the bow string, which is what you knock your bow to, what you put your peep sight in, and that is on this one 60 5/8 inches long. So this one is going to replace this string right here, wraps around the cam, hooks in. Up here, same thing, wraps around the cam, hooks in. Then we have these 2 control cables. So these cables are under a lot of pressure. It's technically like the highest amount of poundage under the string because it's a control cable. It pretty much controls the bow. And that is going to be these right here. There's 2 of them. One goes down, loops around, hooks on the cam, and the other one attaches right here, comes up, hooks around the cam. So they both attach, you know, the one on top attaches here, and the one on the bottom attach here, and then wrap around the cam. Then these 2 guys, so these are 12 3/4 inches long, and this is going to be, I don't even know what these would technically be called. It's a part of the control system. It's almost like the yoke. Yeah, it's technically the yoke. So it's going to go around right here and kind of go around these bearings here on the top and on the bottom. So I'm going to kind of walk through what I like to do when swapping out strings, and these are about due for some new ones. I got this bow last July, and it's July now, so it is time for some new ones. It's been 1 full year of some heavy abuse on these bad boys, so it's time to change. If you shoot your bow really heavy and drag it through some stuff, changing your bow strings once a year or 1.5 years is typically a good move just to keep everything fresh. So we're gonna go step by step, super slow here. We're gonna bring it over to the bow press. Okay, so when putting your bow on a bow press, it's always very important to make sure that the fingers are in the very center of these contact points, but especially while taking out strings or top hats, because you're removing the strings or you're removing the cam. So just if anything ever went a little haywire, which they won't, but I'm just saying there's nothing to catch the bow per se. So what I'm gonna do first, I don't think it really matters what rhyme or reason you do it, but it's important you just do them one at a time. So we're gonna do the string first. It is very important, or I guess somewhat important, when you take them off, you really don't spin them up a whole lot. Just kind of take them off. And then it's really nice to have a tool bench nearby. Like we got this tool bench over here, so we're gonna come and put this over here. And I'm just gonna lay that down like that. I like to leave it all out for really simple. I'm more of a visual guy, so I like to lay it down. We'll take this new one out. And they do keep them in these paper clips right here. And I believe, you know, they're already spun up to how they should be put on. Of course, we'll have to maybe adjust it a little bit once they're on. But where this paper clip is, I don't like to really spin it at all from how it is. So we're gonna grab a hold of that, spread this out, stretch it out a little bit, and then we're gonna find which way is up, and you can tell which way is up because there's a little blue indicator right here that splits for the peep sight. So this is how it's going to be laid, just like this, just like that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this, come on over here, And just doing so, I realized I might have twisted it a time or two. It's not that big of a deal. You just don't want to go crazy with it because we are going to have to check the specs and make sure everything's good. Okay. So this is the connection point for the string. Just want to make sure it's on there and it's not, you know, like half on there or something weird when you go to release the bow press. You want to make sure it's all the way on. Just kind of wrap that around like that. There we go. The string is replaced, and we're going to replace everything, and then we're going to kind of have to check some specs, make sure there's enough twists in all of them. And we'll just rock and roll from there. We'll migrate over my peep sight height. We'll just measure it there once we get our knot tied. Oh, they give me yellow center circle. That's different. We're going to have to do all yellow on this one. Okay, so now a little more tension on here. I got to undo this. Sharp knife. Okay, so that's out of there. Man, these strings are nasty. They're so dust. So nasty. Okay, so we're going to do this. Just kind of slips through there. And then you do have to take the cam off. This is one not tricky thing because you can take them off with the top hats and whatnot. So we got to take this cam off. So now the cam is off. We're just gonna boop and boop, and then we'll just set the cam there. So this is the old control cable system. Very easy. So now we're gonna come over here. This is the old system. This is how it is. If we move this bow over here, this was hooked around the top cam, this is hooked around the bottom cam. I just like to keep it all laid out super simple. So for these, we're gonna need one of these 12 3/4 ones. So we're gonna open one up. And you can tell that this is the yoke. Okay, so we're just going to disconnect the old, this plastic piece. I don't know what that's technically called. Maybe the yoke piece, yoke divider deal. So we're gonna put the new one in. Not too worried about popping it all the way in because once it's under a little bit of pressure from the bow string or from the bow press, it'll pop in all the way. There we go, that's replaced, so we're gonna lay that back down like this. That like that, that like that. And then we are going to need one of these 28 and 1/16 pieces. Then what's super nice, you know, laying out the old ones exactly how they were, you just quickly, boom, you know, match the servings right there. And you got this loop piece on the end over here. So all you do, loop this around, thread this through. Then just kind of snug it. Of course, when we get it in the bow press, it'll snug down more. But there we go. That's our updated control cable system. Now what we're gonna do, very easily put this around our bearings. You see, boom, right there. Flip it over, boom, right there. Then at this point, we can put our axle back in because I don't like these axles being out, really. Nice and easy. Put a little screw back in. And honestly, I won't in this video because it'll take more time, but whenever you take your cams off, like dust them off and stuff, you know, I could dust mine off, but I kind of like it looking dirty. Okay, so you can see visually, got all the strings on. That's gonna sit, make sure that's around. Get my new strings all dirty. Honestly, that's a lot of dirt in there. I might take this back out and get a paper towel and clean that off because it's in the grooves. No rocket science here. I'm just gonna kind of clean it out. I'm sure there's some sort of lube. You don't really want to put lubricant or anything on here. You don't want to get some weird chemicals on the string. You could probably use like a little bit of water or something if it's really bad. A little Q-tip would be nice right now. Just look at all that nastiness coming off, but that's just one side. Oh, our yellow string's got a little dirty already, but they're gonna get dirty fast anyways. So we did a lame job just kind of cleaning it out quick, and mainly getting the string track all clean again. So now we're gonna funnel it through the cable slide, cable guard. And then I'm gonna run this down. And they do have little arrows here, which is nice in case you forget ever. But I like to run it around this bottom one first and then kind of lift it up to go over that one. Makes it easier. Can you see that decent right there? Okay, so just want to make sure always stuff is on the tracks, you know, just kind of while you go through it. So these are popped on. This little plastic piece right here, you just want to make sure that it's kind of centered in the middle and it's not like oblonged. When we get tension on it, things will change and we'll have to move stuff around a little bit again, but it's always good just to make sure everything's squared away before you get too out of hand. Okay, so now we got to do our other control string here. Just gonna take it off. This got nasty. That's one bad thing about just bright neon colors is they just get gross. But here we are, putting more neon ones back on because they look cool. There is our other cable. We're just gonna lay it down. Lay it down again. We are gonna need this 28-incher. Matching up, making sure that it is the same one. So you can see, boom, serving there, boom, yellow serving there, and then obviously going up into here. So now we're gonna disassemble the old one. I know it might seem pretty elementary to double check that, but it's always good to double check that because there's nothing worse than setting up your strings wrong and then being like, oh, what happened? Here's the old yoke. And there we go. Pretty simple. None of this is real rocket science. We may have to tweak some things once we get it on, but just assembly, I mean, you're just reassembling it. Look how messy that is. Just disgusting. Honestly, it got really bad when we went to Texas in March or whatever, March, April. Just so dusty, and that's where all this is from. Let's loop-de-doop these around. Put this axle back in. Slip this one through the cable guard. You have to slip it through at the beginning because there's no way just to filter the strings through. Make sure this is clipped around. Or I guess let's get it hooked on first, then we can do that. Okay, so same sort of thing over here. We got arrows. We got an arrow indicating that you gotta go over that one. But to make it your life easier, what I always love to do is hook it around that bottom one first. Then you kind of push over. Then it goes around the mod. Super easy. And here we are. I'm gonna put a little more tension on the bow to make this easier. These fresh strings, they just aren't, fully set. I feel like you put a fresh set on, your poundage might be a little different, your draw length might be slightly different. Okay, we're going to just make sure everything looks right, that there's nothing out of place, that all of our strings are in the grooves, and that they do. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of tension on the strings, and I can see I need to twist this up a little bit right there. There's like no twist. And a quick check. Matthew installs these little holes in the bottom of the strings, and that control cable is supposed to go right through the center, which this one is right through the center. You can see that. That's like the quick check to see if it's in time, but this bottom one is slightly off. So keep this bow fully, no pressure on it. We're gonna double check it again. Yep, she's off, and she's pretty much on right there. This is just a quick and dirty check. It's not the end all be all. But what I'm gonna do, so we gotta put a couple twists in there. There's just like nothing. I'll grab this V3X. You can see in here there's just a couple twists. So we'll just adjust these cam timings through our control cables, of course, but twist them both up just a little tiny bit. You can see there's that's like one twist, and in these there's maybe 3. So mainly aesthetics. Bow probably will still perform, but we're gonna tighten this up. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put 3 twists. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna put 2 in this top one. 1, 2. Okay, so both those are twisted up a little bit more. Okay, no tension on the bow. And we're closer. It's in the hole now. And that one is still good. So what we're going to do is, let's think about this. This cam needs to rotate like that. So if we increase this one, potentially get there. So I'm gonna put a couple more twists in and see where we're at. Okay, that was the wrong way. Nice. Oh gosh, that's close. That is very close. We might call that good for right now. So what we're gonna do now, we can do a quick measurement of axle. It should be 29. What's it say, Riley?
You're pretty much perfect on
29. So nothing's goofy there. You know, we got them back on, spec'd out correctly. They were manufactured correctly. Sometimes, you never know. Could get something weird. So that's good. Our timing's decent. So what I'm gonna do, one, I'm just gonna run through, make sure they all look correct. I'm just gonna draw this back. It feels smoother. Some fresh strings on it. Look back through these holes. Yeah, this bottom one's slightly off. Honestly, we could probably put a half twist in this bottom one. So putting strings on, it's almost like a bow build, because you're starting back from ground zero. Got to put a knock point on, got to make sure it's tuned correctly, all that jazz. So what we're going to do now is put a knock set on, put it in the drawboard, check the timing, because this technically will get the timing close, but then we'll actually check the timing on the drawboard. We'll check the poundage once obviously we have the D-loop on and everything, and then we'll shoot it through paper, and then that'll probably be it. I'm just going to put this straight through 0. Not going to play the leveling game. And we got to tie in our drop away. I honestly should put a new drop away on this, because it is nasty. So new QAD. Yahtzee! I have so many of those bags and those spare parts, it's not even right. Oh, we got to put the moleskin on. Oh, I stole the moleskin from this one already. That bottom part. Lame. It's honestly way easier installing this off of the bow. I'm gonna start doing that. It has been a while since that bolt has been loosened. I think I got a bunch of dust and dirt in my launcher blade, and it kinda is just, it's not operating at high efficiencies anymore. So we're swapping this back. Yeah, look at all that. There's just like a pile of dust in there. Love it. Phew, look at that dust. That's nasty. Nasty, nasty. I mean, she still clicks and everything. She still drops. Fine. I could tell, I think some dust or something got in there. The bow just needed some TLC. That's all. Some tender love and care. Tell you what though, after this much abuse on this bow, a couple chucks, some excited throws, side-by-side rides, she's still like dialed, no problems, which is awesome. And new rest. I am putting it back at 0 and just starting fresh on the tune, starting fresh. Put some tension on the string, separate this cable, run this through. That'll sit super nice in there. Okay, so we're back live, we're back hot. So here we are, we have our bow square. I don't know why I don't do this more. Honestly, this is how I should do them moving forward. So we have this right in the middle of the rest is fully up. And we have this bottom line that runs along this bottom is where the center of the arrow is gonna be. It's that simple. It's that simple. Let's try not to overcomplicate this. We're gonna use yellow. We're on this hardcore yellow theme today. For this bow right now. Burn that. Don't need that part of it. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab an arrow. So that's our center of our center of gravity. It's right there. Get this bad boy out of here. Throw it on the ground. Clip this in. Make sure it's in the center. Give our little Sharpie mark in the center of this knock. Then we're gonna do our ties. Do our bottom knot. This yellow honestly is gonna look dope. I'll use a yellow D-loop too. So we're gonna do 2 on the bottom, or 2 on the top, 3 on the bottom. We'll finish it out on the bottom. Square knot on the bottom. Tighten that down. Put our knock back in. It's a pretty tight knock fit, but that'll be fine. I mean, this yellow, that's the thing about yellow or orange or green, anything bright fluorescent, is there's so much material in here, but honestly, it'll be fine. We'll see if we get any weird tune-inch problems out of it. We want about 1 serving length of wiggle room in there. Serving diameter. Burn these guys off. And we have our indicators all done. Good amount of room for the knock. When we get to full draw, it's going to pinch it a little bit, so you always want a little bit of room. Cut our D-loop now. We're going to fray our one end before we get it on the bow. Got a good knot there. Let it cool for a second. We're going to tie our knot. We want our, obviously when you do this, you want your burned end on the bottom, and then you also want it on the right side if you're a right-handed shooter, because when you go to draw back and you slightly twist your handheld release, this isn't that big of a deal I guess if you have a trigger, but still you slightly twist your trigger too. But it just kind of helps not torque your bowstring if you set it up with your knot on obviously the bottom, but also that side on the bottom. So we're just gonna get it hand tight. Then we're gonna wrap around, up and over, and now we're set up on our top indicator to have our knot obviously on the top and also on the left side. So when we get to full draw, we'll just have a little less torque there. Need some new knives around here. Okay, so now we're going to take our D-loop pincher deals, just slightly do it, and then we're just going to make sure that it's snugged all the way up against our tie marks. Make sure our knock fit is still good, nothing weird happened. Still got a good amount of room, looking good. Double check again. Nothing moved. Then we're gonna take a big hoss right here. Give it a really good pull. There we have it. We have a new D-loop set up. Oh, I forgot to put the peep sight in. Put the peep sight in before you do this, because now it's gonna move it around a little bit. So we have our old peep sight here. Just gonna cut it out. Before I do that, I'm gonna measure center of the peep sight to the top of the D-loop is about between 5 and 3/8 and 5 1/2. And it could arguably be 5 and 3/8. We might just call it 5 1/2. 5 1/2 is what my peep sight is. That is very close. We're gonna call it good there. Might have to shoot it in, move it around, see how it feels. But you see it's all the way upside down. So we have to take it out, flip it around, put her back in. And you see, obviously our D-loop is twisted now. This is why you wanna put your peep sight in first. Not the end of the world, we'll just spin it around. What I'm also going to do, just do a quick tie around the peep sight, just so it doesn't come flying out if we end up shooting it. Okay. So we still got to set up our drop away rest, but before we do any of that, I'm gonna put this in the timer, the timing dealio, the bow scale timer draw. Pull this back. What you're looking for is just the cable to start to move by the mod touching it right there. So boom, that one's moving. Come down and look. And that one's moving. Dang, we might get this on first try. Dang, I think we got it first try. Look at that. We can do something right today at least. So that's good. As long as you, I mean, honestly, those little holes in the cam, if you get them close, you're about there. So we just got lucky. So that is good. We're gonna check our timing, or not our timing, our poundage. Make sure it's not like 80 pounds. $72. Ooh, see, we're a little low. $72. We need to twist up these cables. The cables control the poundage. The amount of twist you have in the cable will for sure affect your poundage. So we're gonna put maybe 3. I'm gonna take this out now because that's gonna be messed up. 3 twists into each. So technically our timing should still be good. 1, 2, 3. Check our poundage again. 75 on the dot. 74.7. I'm gonna do 2 more because I think it was at 76. I'm gonna do 2 more twists. We'll check timing again and see what's up. It's giving me flashbacks to when we built the 100-pound bow, twisted up the cables. She's still sitting right there. That 100-pound bow has not left that spot since we did that video because I'm scared to do anything with it. It's just forever going to be set at 100 pounds. beef up for this fall if this turns out to be like 80. 77. We might leave it. Yeah, 77 again. We're gonna leave it. Beef up for this fall. Get some arrows behind it. I like that yellow on there. Yellowed out. I think with the 77 pounds, we're gonna get far. It's a long distance. Arrows should still be spine fine, jumping 75 to 77 or 76 to 77, whatever it was. So we're gonna thread in our cable to our rest here. So pull it back to set our rest cord. Doing what I just did about sets it correctly to how it should be, but I'm gonna tie a knot around it and then cut it and burn it and then yank on it a little bit more, and then it gets you about another quarter inch, or not a quarter inch, about an 1/8 inch probably of room, and then that is about at the right spot. Could you hand me that layer? Thank you. So we're just gonna burn this guy down. I like to smash this burn end into it compared to the D-loop where I do not like to do that. But this, there's no real load bearing weight. And then I'm gonna make sure, yeah, it's like my last 2 inches of draw length that stands up, which is what you want. And she is complete. We got a new set of strings on in time, or I guess I should double check the in time because we did mess around. Hold on, pause. Yeah, slightly out of time now. Bottom is touching right there. And top is not touching. Oh man, that's so close. Man, it's so close that I might leave it for now, because you do have to shoot maybe a few hundred arrows and then check everything again. Just let everything settle in. It's just no matter what string you put on, manufacturer, whatever, there's a settle in about 100 or so arrows. So I'm just gonna leave it as is. It's really close, and I'll check back with it. Check back with it in a week or so. We are going to Utah tack, so I definitely need to check it by the end of this week. Shoot through paper real quick. We'll see if we got lucky and it's still in tune. That would be wild. All right, moment of truth. First shot. That's pretty dang good. It's tough to tell with the 4-fletch. Might be a little bit right. My peep sight feels like it's a little tall. But shoot one more just a little further away. I think I remember this rest being, yeah, she's slightly moved to the right, so we might have to do that. I don't know. That looks pretty money. We might leave it. Leave it and shoot it in. Well, that is our complete video, putting bowstrings back on your bow, starting fresh with something new. New set of strings. Really can make your bow feel new. It does feel completely different. So make sure to check them out. If you need some new strings, make sure to never overlook Lancaster Archery Supply for all of your archery needs, including your custom bowstrings. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.